A sheltered and creative freshman's horizons expand outside his engineering research studies when he develops an unexpected bond with an older female and her child. As Aaron Milton, an engineering freshman, heads to an Ivy League university with his moms and dads Phil and Susan, he sketches a male burdened by a ball and chain on his sketchpad. His gorgeous drawing tips at his enthusiasm for art over science and mathematics. Upon arriving at his dorm space, the mother who likes to be in control provides her boy a framed certificate of achievement and his old scout scarf and badges. Although his parent tries to stress that these things represent his academic success and intelligence, the innovative teenager thinks twice to display them on his wall. All of a sudden, his roomie Bill appears with his sweetheart Fiona, triggering the new student to present them to his moms and dads. Before leaving, Phil informs Aaron not to duplicate the same error and passes him an envelope. Completely uninformed of what he implies, the brand new student attempts to inquire further, but his moms and dad is on his method back to the automobile. That night, Expense orients his roommate about the doorknob rule. If somebody doesn't wish to be interrupted, all they have to do is hang a necktie on the doorknob so that the other individual doesn't get in the space. When Aaron marvels why they can't utilize notes instead, the promiscuous teen presumes he's unskilled. Upon hearing this, the freshman declares he's not innocent any longer and recommends utilizing his scout scarf as a necktie. That night, the artistic teenager reads his father's letter with visual suggestions on pleasuring a female effectively. After reading, he makes a disgusted face and folds the paper. The following early morning, Aaron tries to find his class utilizing a map. Along the method, he satisfies a lost Darcy who resides in the exact same dormitory building as he does. For his elective class, the engineering trainee participates in a sophisticated design course with teacher Van Oken, who helped secure his scholarship. Throughout his lecture, the teacher tasks his students with making a tool that enables them to walk on water by the end of the term. At the same time, the disengaged musician scribbles Jesus stepping on the waves among a flock of sharks. Complying with the lesson, Aaron asks about transferring to a class concentrated on art, yet the professor declines, citing his students' natural capacity for engineering. Later on that day, the amateur student inadvertently winds up in a drawing class, erroneously believing it to be an engineering workshop. After taking a look at his illustrations, the instructor approves of him and requests him to sit next to his eye-catching elderly schoolmate, Linda. The teacher, after that, advises the trainees to attract the naked women design in front of them, utilizing cool and uncomplicated lines. Nonetheless, the teenager ends up attracting a number that looks like a muscular structure. Once the class is over, Linda asks Aaron to avoid their following courses and go have coffee with each other. While at the cafe, she takes a look at his sketchbook and appreciates his ability. All of a sudden, the teen hesitates to straight ask her why she remains in college at her age, which she detects but doesn't answer just yet. The adhering to early morning, Linda welcomes the musician to have dinner at her apartment the following evening. She notes that she'll make pasta and makes an attractive comment, creating the timid teenager to flush. That evening, Aaron participates in a Hawaiian-themed dormitory event where he encounters Darcy that has a talent for linking a cherry stem inside her mouth. Nevertheless, Bill confronts them and upsets the female attending the occasion with his disturbing remark, resulting in her making a decision to leave. As the man apologizes to her, an abrupt activity from one of the celebration participants includes tossing a container of water at both the lady and the engineering pupil, leading them to leave the gathering. The complying with day, a cars and truck outside the dormitory room honks, capturing Aaron's attention as he recognizes it to be Linda's. In feedback, he hastily grabs a container of a glass of wine and departures the space. When his roomie leaves, Bill and his companions look via the home window and notice the artist hanging out with an older woman. In the vehicle, Linda lastly opens up to Aaron, sharing that she's back in university to continue her education since she invested her previous years really living her life. Upon their arrival at her apartment, the woman takes a shower while Aaron quietly explores the area. All of a sudden, Beth, a punky yet foul-mouthed teen, shows up and questions his identification. She then determines, as Linda's roommate and the college student, bring about a quick exchange of swear words. Not long after, Linda intervenes, placing an end to their disagreement. As they enjoy their night meal, the teen exposes to the university student that her mother abstains from alcohol. Later that evening, Erin savors a glass of wine by herself, while Linda relies on her that she feels excluded from university life. The artist responds by complimenting Linda's confidence that makes her stand apart. Following this, the lady enhances the quantity of the music and they all dance with each other enthusiastically. Ultimately, the intoxicated freshman discovers himself dozing off on the couch with a blanket and a pet cat maintaining him business. Unexpectedly, he witnesses Linda inviting a male inside the apartment. Later on, as the older female and the unfamiliar person have sex, Beth comes close to the creative teenager, recognizing he's making believe to be asleep. Because of the awkward situation, Aaron tries to leave, but the punk instantly kisses him, triggering him to push her to the flooring in shock. When Linda hears the noise, she examines what's taking place, leading Beth to hide in the cooking area and the freshers to fake his sleep again. After course the complying with day, the artistic student go back to his dormitory, yet sees his scarf on the doorknob, suggesting that Bill is having a personal time inside. However, this occurs in the next few days, creating the freshman to have no area to oversleep properly. Because of this, the tired Aaron requests assistance from Linda, who picks him up so he can relax in her apartment or condo. However, when driving, a police vehicle follows them, creating the teenager to panic. When she pulls over, the freshman uncovers that the cop, Wes, is the older lady's sweetheart. Later on that night, the policeman joins them and flirts with Linda as she chefs dinner, triggering the college student to feel awkward. Unexpectedly, Beth appears behind the policeman and directs a tool at him as a trick, causing the man to really feel irritated. Observing the tension in between her daughter and boyfriend, Linda hands cash money to the prankster and instructs her to purchase eclairs and cigs with Aaron. When they get to the store, Beth greets the staff Ray Ray and introduces the fresher to him as her problematic relative. In feedback, the musician adventures in addition to a punk's lie. After the teenager points out the product she needs, the man flirts, inviting her to hang out. Nonetheless, the prankster only comments that he's also old for her. Later on, as Aaron spends for the things, Beth swipes cherry-flavored stogies for him. When they go back to the apartment or condo, the foul-mouthed teen witnesses Linda and the cop arguing, leading her to welcome the artist to her gorgeous room. As the punk works on her crafts, the freshman sketches her and turns over the ended-up illustration, making her smile. A minute later on, Aaron goes to Linda's space, who welcomes him to rest on his bed so they can talk for a while. When the trainee stresses over Wes's thoughts on him staying in their location, the lady notes that her partner does not believe in men and women genuinely being pals. While she mentions that he's appealing, she clarifies that she has no romantic feelings for him. Nevertheless, later on, they tease each other and eventually kiss. Though Linda reciprocates, she retreats and encourages the artist to stop before it buckles down. Regardless of this, Aaron kisses her again, triggering her to order him to leave the room. Upon leaving the bedroom, the first-year student comes across an angry Beth walking by. The next day, the college student listens to a worried voicemail from his mother, who knows that he is not attending his classes. In the list below days, he goes to his sophisticated engineering class, however finds more pleasure in his drawing course, where he can take part in flirting with Linda. When Professor Oken demands him to resolve an issue on the whiteboard, Aaron gives up, specifying that he requires to envision it initially. Nevertheless, the instructor firmly insists that he cannot leave till he completes the task. Later, the creative teen goes through the library to study the formulas and water striders, but later on goes to sleep. Before the library closes, Darcy wakes him up and invites him to have coffee. In the cafe, the teenager faces Aaron, asking if the reports about him dating a wife with kids hold true. In action, the artist clarifies that Linda isn't wed and simply has one daughter. He also implies that because of Bill's constant personal moments, he had to sleep in the older woman's location. Before returning to their dormitory building, the freshman kisses Darcy, and she reciprocates. Following this, the teenager puts his headscarf on the doorknob to signify Bill not to disturb. Nevertheless, his roommate persists in knocking on the door, triggering the musician to instruct him to leave. Subsequently, while slipping off Darcy, Erin familiarizes her underarm hair. In feedback, the teenage asserts her rejection to participate in hair removal as a result of its deceitful nature. As they continue, the musician gets down and touches her hairy leg, triggering him to withdraw. Darcy, really feeling annoyed by his reaction, exits the area, prompting the partially clothed fresher to seek her in the corridor. As a result, some pupils simulated him. As Aaron quickly resorts to his living area, he unexpectedly comes across Beth, that forthrightly asks whether he is taking part in a romantic relationship with her mom. The musician emphatically refutes this accusation, leading the defiant teen to expose her own feelings for him. Beth expresses that she experiences a strong destination in the direction of him, describing it as an impressive feeling. However, the college student rejects her emotions, thinking that he cannot go after a romance with a person more youthful than himself. Undeterred, Beth begs him to share an intimate minute with her and begins to undress. Just as the situation escalates, Bill goes into the space and misunderstands the scene, thinking his roommate is taking part in a sex-related encounter with Linda's little girl. Aaron quickly requests his secrets to transfer Beth back to her apartment or condo. In his lack, Costs addresses a call from Aaron's mother that becomes aware that her child is not present. She hazards the roommate with holding him accountable if Aaron does not contact her within 1 day. After going down Beth off, Aaron returns to his dorm and uncovers his scarf on the doorknob, but ignores it and challenges Expense for having a continuous stream of visitors, recommending he can't loosen up in his own bed. The freshman, feeling aggravated, uses a lighter to set fire to a piece of fabric, triggering the emergency alarm to go off. This causes the structure being left. While outdoors, a worried Bill asks about Aaron's well-being, which motivates Aaron to expose his charming sensations for Linda, that is currently dating a law enforcement officer. The complying with Day, the freshman participates in Linda's writing class. While Professor Krauss commends his essay, he keeps in mind that he's not registered in his course. Afterward, the trainer hands the female her job back with a D quality. Upon seeing this, Linda asks the instructor what's wrong with her paper, prompting him to reveal that it did not have evaluation and depth. When she requests one more opportunity, the old man rejects her demand. As a result, the distressed lady confides a duty, informing him she doesn't belong in their university. In feedback, the fresher offers to assist her pass the training course. That evening, the artist attempts to apologize to Beth, who doesn't intend to talk with him. He follows her when she gets in the store where he sees Ray giving her a prohibited compound. When Aaron attempts to face the teenager about her unsafe tasks, the sarcastic punk divulges that she cared for her mommy as a kid, indicating that Linda isn't steady. Upon hearing this, the musician recommends she stick with her grandmother, yet she only notes exactly how controlling she is. Upon going back to the house, Beth sees her mama with a ring, finding out that Wes wishes to wed her mom. Nonetheless, the teenager rejects and only speaks to her mama disrespectfully. After the punk leaves, the police follows her and reprimands her for rudely speaking to Linda. At the same time, the lady makes clear with Aaron that she hasn't said yes to Wes yet. In Beth's room, the foul-mouthed teenager tells the police officer that he'll never be a part of their household. Due to this, the triggered man curses her in a low voice, triggering the punk to prompt him further for her mum to hear. As a result of her child yelling, Linda and Aaron head upstairs to interfere. Nonetheless, as they battle, the police officer accidentally strikes his partner, motivating her to buy him to leave your house. The injured female drives Aaron home with Beth in the rear seat that evening. When traveling, Wes suddenly shows up behind, asking her to pull over. To leave her ex-spouse, Linda increases. However, a dog all of a sudden crosses the street, prompting her to knock the brakes. Because of this, their car crashes right into a fire hydrant. As a result, Beth and Aaron have small injuries. While the chauffeur has a busted neck, As Linda remains in the health center, Aaron sleeps in her home to accompany her child. When he listens to the punk sobbing, he assures her it's not her mistake. She then kisses him, but he retreats. When the punk pleads him to remain, the concerned musician sleeps close to her. The following day, the amateur constructs a gadget to pass through the water's surface. He then collects balloons to raise Linda's spirits, that has actually recuperated well from the accident. During class, Teacher Oken disperses an examination booklet to Aaron, which includes an average grade. While he applauds the musician's sketch, he is astonished by Aaron's lack of ability to fix the formulas. As Aaron heads back to his dormitory, he notices his parents' lorry parked along the street. When he enters the room, his angry mom challenges him about his participation in an auto accident with an elderly female. However, he protects that she is his buddy, suggesting they satisfy her. Consequently, Linda invites the artist's individuals over for supper. While eating, the female shares that she fulfilled the freshers at an art course, prompting Susan to imply that it's an unwise program. Beth commends Aaron's capacities in action, classifying him the following Picasso. However, the managing mom claims she doesn't desire her child to deprive. In the kitchen area, Susan confronts Linda for taking advantage of her kid's susceptible mind. Upon hearing this, the upset lady asks her classmate's mommy to stop her accusation. Quickly after, when Aaron's mommy volunteers to take the dessert to the table, the pissed Linda beverages wine. Then she heads to the living area and welcomes everybody to dance. Yet Susan refuses to join. Suddenly, Wes knocks on the door, and upon opening it, the cop witnesses his ex-spouse dancing with another guy. Because of this, Aaron pushes him back outside and clears up that the other man is his papa. When the cop expresses his intent to reconcile with Linda, the musician demands that he leave and guarantees to inform the woman about it. However, the questionable Susan witnesses her child's encounter with the police officer and stops the dance. Soon after, she purchases her to stay away from Aaron. Nevertheless, the woman only kisses the musician before the regulating mother, leaving everyone in shock. Later, Linda dishonors her schoolmate's mom for being too restrictive in the direction of his son and chilly in the direction of Phil. Upon hearing this, Susan slaps the inebriated lady. When the overprotective mother asks Aaron to entrust to them, the fresher declines, infuriating his parent. On the other hand, Phil supports him with his choice. Afterward, the artist talks to Beth, who keeps in mind that he made the wrong choice of choosing to stick with Linda over his mommy. Following this, the concerned Aaron rests beside the inebriated Linda, but desire for being intimate with Beth. Instantly, the woman awakens, blurting out Wes's name. After that, she invests personal time with the musician while discussing the police's name. As a result of this, the offended fresher leaves the area. As he strolls to leave the house, Beth, who heard their noise, curses him and asks that he never come back. When he reaches his dorm, Aaron uncovers Costs is having a private minute with Darcy. After she leaves, the promiscuous teen says sorry to his roomie, noting that they were talking about him prior to they got intimate. Upon hearing this, the fresher exposes that he additionally invested a romantic time with Linda. That was considering someone else. Shortly after, he pities himself for losing his family and friends, and adds that he requires to offer mathematical evidence the following day for his task, or he'll lose his scholarship. The following day, Aaron reviews his formula in course with a drawing of his professor utilizing his device. Nonetheless, the instructor fixes his remedy. Keeping in mind that the writer has to be lightweight to make the tools work, he then tests the student to change his calculation and expects seeing him in the swimming pool competition. As he services the problem later that day, Linda calls him, informing him that Beth is missing. Following this, the artist heads to the lady's home and reprimands her for not searching for her little girl. Afterward, Aaron searches for Beth inside the store and finds she is upstairs with Ray and his thugs. However, the goons only throw the freshman out of the location. To get help, the musician calls Wes, and they both rescue the teen from the clerk's hands. As Aaron and Beth await the police officer in the police wagon, the shocked punk reveals that she wants the get-well balloons the musician provided her mommy when she felt unhealthy, noting that they'll make her fly away. Afterward, the police officers and the freshmen take Beth home. When Linda rejoins with her daughter, she hugs her securely. Following this, Aaron calls his mama, and Manny thanks her for every little thing she provided for him. The adhering today, the engineering students collect in the pool with their devices. Nevertheless, their devices fails to keep them afloat. The artist is late to arrive. However, he manages to walk on water and get to the various other end of the pool. To make his Strider apparatus job, he utilizes balloons to make him lightweight, permitting him to stay afloat as he strolls on water. This performance amazes his professor, who praises him for his superb work. The next day, Aaron witnesses Wes placing furnishings into a vehicle, leading him to discover that Linda and Beth are transferring to Jacksonville to live with the lady's mother. Upon hearing this news, he feels excellent sadness over their unexpected relocation. Linda, after that, shares gratitude in the direction of him for his support, while Beth ensures the artist that she will certainly return to see him in 4 years, to which he promises he will certainly always remember her. As they prepare to leave, the mommy and little girl embrace the musician. After Wes drops him off at the college, Aaron encounters Darcy that discusses the freshman's appealing life. Shortly after, he playfully inquires her cherry stem trick, asking if she ties the stem prior to putting it inside her mouth, which she verifies. As he strolls in the direction of, the musician lastly acknowledges himself as an engineer and notes his enthusiasm for learning how things work.